So, let's get started. We have Contemplating Renewed Mission and Martyrdom in the context of Plural Society, Rafael, Mathando, Hinganaday. Now, one of the things is that here we're now making a transition. Most of what we've done so far has been to talk about mission and memory in various ways. We've had a lot of historical presentations, we've had anthropologically based discussions of what's going on in different cultures, and even conceptual issues regarding what martyrdom is all about. But we also want to now shift to a more forward-looking way toward the issue of mission, which will then set us up well for some of the discussions on contemplation that we will be having tomorrow, as well as a final return to the question of mission globally in our final session tomorrow. Okay, so Rafael, are you here?
Yeah.
All right, sir. Maybe you want to, I think this is still on, isn't it? Is it on?
Yeah.
Good. Right, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. So, good afternoon, all. So, yeah, I try to present or to share something that I hope that this will be a little bit new for all of you, since I think this will be more related to Indonesian context, but we'll see. So the title is Contemplating Renewed Mission and Martyrdom in the context of modern plural society. And then here we have three questions that we want to answer. First is it possible to provide a proper livelihood for people from different religions, including inviting them to take roles in liturgical activities which do not belong to them? And then, is it possible for people from different religions to master a role which is related to other religious worship activities? And then the third is, what is the contribution of the Ignatian spiritual exercises in order to promote a more possible and worth-living multicultural environment nowadays? So, we'll continue. So I give you questions. This is not about interreligious dialogue, so this can be, we can relate this to an interreligious dialogue, but it can be another presentation, but not this one. So, here, theologically, for me, actually, this is an invitation to a further discussion on a renewed religious view about salvation. And so this is really an invitation, especially because you are you are more advanced, with your expertise, and then with your education, with your subjects, maybe we can discuss it a little bit far. And then also practically, this is an invitation. Again, this is an invitation to see the possibility of developing many people's wealth through the help of religious institutions and their rituals, especially in the context of modern plural society in Asia or even in the world. So this is just a trigger. This presentation is just a trigger. I hope that we can discuss it a little bit far later. Here I want to show you what happened in Indonesia. So this is Chinese Lunar New Year in Yogyakarta, in Indonesia. So also there are Chinese there in Indonesia, and then there are temples, and then I also want to show you this. So this man is Marmito. So his name is Marmito. He's a Muslim, and he observes his religion well, but he works there in the Chinese temple. He provides the things for the prayer, so the people, the Chinese there, can pray well. And then here, we're living in a multicultural world but our way of thinking and living has not been multicultural enough, or in this case, multi-religious enough. We may have accepted people from other religions or other cultures in our offices, schools, or houses. Maybe some of you are working with Muslims or with agnostics, with Buddhists, Confucianists, and so forth. We may have accepted people from other religions. We, however, do not usually see people from other religions working at shrines, our shrines, which incompatible with their own religious beliefs. Like what we have seen before, it's not an everyday experience to see a Muslim works in the Chinese shrines or in the Confucianist shrine, and then helping them to provide things. We may think that it's not allowed according to his religion, but there he is. In this more globalized world, there is a possibility that soon Marwito's story will become a worldwide phenomenon. We will find new Marwitos perhaps, since we are more like in this globalized world. Then we'll see people from many places coming to your place, and then they just need to live their lives well there. Maybe they will come to your church, and then may I just work here for 2 or 3 weeks, and then may I have families here, and then oh yeah, what is your religion? I'm a Muslim, and then then there we start to think whether we want to receive him with his family or not. Here, in the terms of religion and mission, this phenomenon would not happen in many places before 18th century. For example, like here, the mission of the Catholic Church focused on converting people. You can see the mission here, for example, in China, or even in Indonesia, or where else, where the missionaries came to our places and then just to convert us or baptize us. The same spirit still emerges among us in this modern age, of course. Some people still see the religion as the only way of salvation, and we have seen examples there. Like people still, like the small group of religions in some countries are oppressed by the majority, and then they're asked to convert to their religions, and we can still see this kind of thinking. In today's context, this exclusive ownership of salvation, so we think that our religion is the only way of salvation, has generated the so-called commodification of religion. And there, a renewed view of salvation wants to break exclusivism, that means interreligious involvement in a religious worship. So that's why I brought to you the example of Marwito. And then also at the same time we want to stay exclusive. So while they're working at the shrine for a certain religion, the so-called non-believers do not need to embrace the faith of the believers. So a Muslim who is working in the church do not need to be a Catholic or a Christian, for example. Even though I know a person who was a Muslim, who worked in the church, and finally he was baptized, and now he's a Jesuit. But he's not here, of course. He's in Indonesia. So yeah, that's a failed example, of course. But here we want to see that we can see that we can do this at the same time. First, we want to break exclusive. We want to be inclusive, but also at the same time we want to stay exclusive. A renewed view of salvation, again, it's not a commodification of religion. When we talk about commodification of religion, we talk about money. We make our religion, we make money from our religion. And we are in another sense that we can also show our religion as the only way of salvation. And then, so if you want to be saved, then just come to our religion or just come to our church. That's my point of this commodification of religion. But instead of economical profit, they will suffer such a loss because they have to provide something for the livelihood of the non-believers to help them. So both believers and unbelievers can maintain a religious dialogue fraternity. So this is just another value that we can learn from this mutual relationship. So this Ignatian contemplation and renewed mission. Based on its Catholic root, the contemplation in Ignatian spiritually invites us to see others through the eyes of Jesus. So I took the thoughts of William J. Byron. The exercises are more personal than merely individualistic. The people who are making the exercises are invited to build their self-awareness that they cannot separate themselves from the world around them. So, especially now that we can see that around our world becomes so multicultural and multi-religious now. We cannot just avoid that fact. So that's why the contemplation helps us. The contemplation on the incarnation and the spiritual exercises says that the exercitants are clearly asked to look not at himself but at humanity in need of help. So it's more about the world around us, not only about us, but it's not only about myself, but also it's about our world. Through the eyes of Christ, the exercitants see the whole world in need, which Christ wants to save, and start to unite their will with the will of Christ as well. And then this is the point. What is good for mankind is also in line with God's will. We believe that through the contemplation, we want to adjust our will with God's will. So when God creates this multicultural world, multi-religious world, then we also learn slowly from the contemplation that what is good for mankind, when we can make peace with this equation of world, and so that's also God's will. And I come to the conclusion. Marvita's story is a hope that the believers of a particular religion can still share a little bit of salvation their religion have brought to others, especially to the people whom they call non-believers. So the salvation we share is not only about, please come to my religion so you will be saved, but also we can still share a little bit of salvation just in another way. That's it. Just you can still live, or you can still still live with your families peacefully, but you can still work with us. You can still help us in our church and our shrines. To be a witness of faith, that's also the meaning of martyrdom. It's not only about personal holiness or to draw others to conversion, but also it is moreover about others who can live through our practices of faith without the obligation to embrace the faith we practice. So, thank you for listening. That's all from me. Thank you.